Hi, welcome to Canary Quilts. To get this free pattern and other free patterns, head over to canaryquilts.com to the library access page. And on that page you can sign up for a free password to get into our free resource library. At that point you can now access this pattern and all our other free patterns available on the site. I hope you enjoy this video. Thank you for watching. I would appreciate it if you would hit the subscribe button and notification button so you can stay informed of all our new free patterns. We put a free pattern out every Friday.
Hi, to get started on this Pillsbury inspired pot holder, these are the following items you're going to need, and you can download this pattern at canaryquilts.com in our free access library, and I'll put the link down below. And you can also find all the cuts you'll need to make for all the pieces on my blog, which is linked down below also. So you've got your background pieces of the cookie, and then this is for the backing. So you have two of these. The purple is so you can cut this out, and the orange is for the eyes and the mouth. And then on the orange and the purple, you're going to have light, I use light steam-a-seam too, so that we can iron it on once we get everything cut out. You're going to have your binding and then 3 layers of batting for a pot holder. So the next thing you want to do is get your pieces cut out of your pattern. And here I have them cut out by color. The circle we're going to need to cut out the cookie part. And then we've got the purple here that was cut out from right there that we're going to use there. And to get started with cutting these pieces out that we're going to have to iron on, you're going to want to turn it over when you trace it. So you'll see the back of the paper, and you can use a little bit of washi tape to just hold it down. And the same with the eyes. Put them upside down also, and then trace around them. So once you got it down, and the tape helps hold it in place, we'll just trace around this so that we can cut it out of our purple. There's our trace, and we'll cut along the lines, and then we'll do the same with the eyes. So we'll cut these out on the line. And then here's our orange, and we'll trace upside down our orange pieces. And then for the circle, we'll just take, I've already got some tape there just to hold it in place. And we'll take a rotary cutter, and we're just going to cut right around this circle.
At this point you only want to cut one of these. You'll cut the others later.
Okay, I've got all my pieces cut out of the colors, and so now I'm going to peel off the back of the steam seam light, and I had just pressed this onto my fabric for about 3 seconds so that it would stick to the fabric, and then I'll be able to stick it onto the background. As you can see, I didn't cut a whole piece, I used pieces of it. So now we're just gonna kind of center this. There's our little ghosty. I'm going to put these eyes on. So with the purple part of the eye, we want the top of it to be layered underneath the orange. So I just put it where I want it. I'm just going to pick the orange up like this and then put it on top. And last is the mouth. So now I'm going to take this over to my iron and I'm going to press all of this on for 10 seconds. Okay, I've got my pieces ironed on, and now I've got 2 layers of batting. First, I'm going to spray it with some basting spray so that it sticks to this, and then I'm going to spray this with basting spray so it sticks to this. And that way I'll have a nice little sandwich that's stuck together. And then I'm going to take it over to my machine and I'm going to baste around the edge and then raw edge applique all of these pieces here. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is baste right along the edge of my piece here. So now that I've got this basted on, I'm going to go through and raw edge stitch this with a purple thread and the orange with a orange thread, raw edge. And then I'm going to come through with a yellow thread and just go and outline all of this to quilt the layers together. I'm just going to do raw edge, where I'm just going to follow the edge of this pattern with the purple thread.
Raw edge applique is just where you're doing free motion stitching on the inside part of the applique, and you're just following around on the edges.
Quickly do the eyes. And now I will switch it out and use my orange thread. Okay, I got my orange thread loaded, and I'm going to raw edge applique the orange sections.
And again, right here, I am just doing the free motion quilting on the inside of the applique around the edges.
So I finished the raw edge applique. So now I want to put all my layers together. And then what I'll do is take the yellow thread and go around and stitch or quilt all my layers together at this point. So I want to cut the circles out.
Add your third layer of bedding here so it gets cut out.
So now I'm going to put some basting spray on this backing and this piece, and then they'll all stick together, and then we'll take it back over to the machine. So I'm all set back here at the machine. I've got everything layered. I've got my backing on. I've got my 3 layers of batting. And I am going to now take the yellow thread and I'm just going to outline all of this from the outside. And we don't need a lot of stitching for this because it's quite small. So it's a good way to quilt all the layers together.
So at this point here, I'm using the yellow thread to quilt the layers together. And I'm just going around the outside edges of my applique, which is enough to hold this small little quilt together.
There, now we've got, it's all poofy here in the colors, and we've got the back and front sewn together. Next thing we do is put our binding on, and I'm using a 2 1/4 inch bias binding. And I've just folded it in half, and since it's on the bias, it will be easier to follow this around in a circle. My bias binding, and I'm going to start sewing about, I'm going to leave quite a bit here. I'm going to start sewing about right here, and I'm going to end about right here before I join the two together. And I'm going to do a scant 1/4 inch. Okay, I'm at the point where I want to join my binding, and I am going to, you can see where I start and stopped here, and I want to cut this a little shorter, just about halfway. And then I'm going to take my ruler here, and I have a 2 1/4 inch binding. So what I want to do is cut about 2 1/8 of an inch off of this side, starting with where the binding is cut right here. So since it's circular, you're just gonna have to work with it. So right there's the end of my other binding, and 2 1/8 is about right here. Just going to use this little pin to mark the edge. So I'm going to cut on this edge of this clip. Okay, so I'm going to take my left edge and open it up with the top up. Then I'm going to take my right edge and I'm going to put it right sides together right down here on my binding. And I'm going to clip it to help me hold it together. We're going to be sewing from left to right here. This is my left. So from this top edge right here to this bottom edge down here. I'm going to clip that. So I pulled this out, this side out, right side up, pulled this side over, put it right side down on that, and then so when we sew on that, it should make it so it fits there. So I am going to sew this in place. Okay, I'm going to sew, like I said, from this top left corner to the bottom right corner, a diagonal. I'm going to put my foot down. I'm going to just start and do a little back stitch, and I'm going to make sure my needle's down like that. Move this out of the way and just do a diagonal stitch right to the other corner. Just like that. So now you can see that it folds and it's going to fit just like that. So I am going to cut this at 1/4 inch. I'm going to finger press it open. And then it will just naturally fold like that. So now we can finish stitching around our little pot holder here. So since we cut it 1/8 inch short, it fit better in here. We've got one tiny little wrinkle, but it's barely noticeable on the other side. So what we're going to do is just flip our binding over now. and pin it. We'll just pin it like that all the way around. So you can see I've got my binding nicely pinned all the way around, and now I'm going to stitch in the ditch, which means I'm going to stitch right inside that seam right there all the way around, and it will catch my binding on the other side. There we go, I'm done putting my binding on. As you can see, I got real close to that edge. Here's the back. You've got yourself a cute little nostalgic pot holder.